Okay, so it took a little bit longer than I expected, but I've finally come up with my top 10 movies to watch on the holidays. Now please keep in mind this is not a list of the top 10 Christmas movies of all time, this is just a list of my personal favorite movies to watch on the holidays. And please post a list of your favorite holiday movies to watch in the comments section below.
You're kidding. Dad, it's really neat.
Gremlins is one of those movies that if you haven't seen it, you should, because it's awesome. The story takes place during Christmas and starts with a father looking for a Christmas present for his son. And while most of us would probably do our Christmas shopping at the mall, this guy decides to buy his son an odd creature at a Chinese antique store. What follows is a movie filled with comedy, horror, and some pretty cool practical effects. I mean, just because it's Christmas doesn't mean you have to spend every day watching It's a Wonderful Life or Miracle on 34th Street. I like to change it up a bit and add a little variety to my holiday movie selection, which leads me to this next entry.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Aside from being one of the greatest action films of all time, Die Hard is a great way to add some badassery into the holidays. The movie takes place on Christmas Eve at a Christmas party and quickly turns into a crazy action flick with guns, hostages, and Bruce Willis wishing he never took off his shoes. This is the movie that turned Bruce Willis into an action star and spawned a slew of sequels throughout the years. Another interesting fact is that Bruce Willis actually donated the undershirt he wore in this movie to the National Museum of American History in 2007. While it may not be the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about movies to watch on the holidays, if you want to spice things up a bit, there's nothing wrong with a little Die Hard.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Now this is a movie that's pretty much guaranteed to be playing at my parents' house every Christmas, and there's a lot of great moments in this film that make it a Christmas classic. The tongue on the post, the leg lamp, the Santa slide, just to name a few. The only sad thing about this movie is that even though I find it hilarious now, I can't help but feel that it would be funnier if I was a lot older and I could relate to it even more. Now if they could make a movie that takes place in 1996 and is about getting a Nintendo 64 for Christmas instead of a BB gun, then I think we're onto something. But even still, it's easy to include on this list, and it's also worth noting that this film was elected for preservation by the National Film Registry in 2012. And believe it or not, there was actually a sequel to this film that was released just last year, which I will probably never watch.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Look, I'm not kidding.
You're a fake.
I'm a fake?
Yes.
How'd you like to be dead? Huh? No, he's kidding.
You stink.
I think you're gonna have a good Christmas, all
You
right?
smell like beef and cheese. You don't smell like Santa.
Okay.
I have to say that I always thought this movie was pretty funny, even if it came out during a time when I was getting pretty sick and tired of seeing Will Ferrell in every movie. But seriously though, I actually think Elf is a pretty good movie. It's got some really funny parts throughout the story, and I really enjoyed watching the cast as well. I thought Zooey Deschanel was good, you got James Caan in there, and Peter Dinklage as well. There's a lot of movies on this list that take place during Christmas, but this movie is actually about Christmas. I mean, this story really couldn't take place during any other time of year, so it's an easy entry onto this list.
No, you're not. You're staying here with me. We're working late.
Well, I have to take my son to the doctor.
Grace, when I work late, you work late.
But I made the appointment 2 months ago.
I care. We're indivisible. If I'm working late, you gotta work late. If you can't work late, I can't work late. If I can't work late, I can't work late.
Now, if there's one thing that remains constant in this world, it's that Bill Murray is awesome. Scrooged is a modern telling of A Christmas Carol, starring Bill Murray as a television programming executive who acts like a complete douchebag. What's interesting is how incredibly funny Bill Murray can be, even when he's playing a character who's so unbelievably cruel. Of course, eventually his character gets visited by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, and while it may not be the greatest film, it's still worth a watch, even if it's just for Bill Murray alone.
If you please, Mr. Scrooge, the bookkeeping staff would like to have an extra shovel full of coal for the fire.
How would the bookkeepers like to be suddenly unemployed?
Speaking of A Christmas Carol, I've always been a big fan of The Muppets, and The Muppets Christmas Carol is probably my favorite adaptation of the story, basically just because it's told with the Muppets. The film stars Michael Caine as Scrooge, and this was actually the first Muppets film released after the death of Jim Henson. There's really nothing else to say here except if you're a fan of the Muppets and you like A Christmas Carol, then this is a no-brainer.
Everybody scream! Won't you please make way for a very special guy?
All-Man Jack is king of the pumpkin patch. Everyone hail to the pumpkin king. Now this is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween.
The Nightmare Before Christmas is definitely one of my favorite Tim Burton films, and every time I watch it, I'm amazed by the animation. I mean, the movie manages to combine my two favorite holidays, and that's something that I never even thought was possible. I actually remember seeing this movie in theaters when it first came out, and I'm always impressed by how popular this film still is 20 years later. The movie was converted to digital 3D a few years ago, making it the first stop-motion animated feature to be converted to the format. Overall, I just find the movie to be visually stunning, and if you haven't seen it yet, then you're definitely missing out. A film that is clearly more for the adult crowd, Bad Santa tells the interesting story of a thief who takes on the Santa routine as a front for robbing shopping malls at night. Going into this movie, I wasn't sure if I was actually going to enjoy it, but the movie surprised me. I actually thought it was pretty funny. I mean, the whole movie is filled with swearing and drinking and sex, and I thought Billy Bob Thornton was absolutely hilarious. And one interesting thing to note about this movie is that there is actually a sequel currently in the works, with production apparently starting in 2014.
I want him brought from his happy holiday slumber over there in Melody Lane with all the other rich people, and I want him brought right here with a big ribbon on his head. And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is! Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
Well, I'm willing to bet that most of you knew that National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation would appear somewhere on this list. I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie every Christmas for as long as I can remember. I mean, there's so many hilarious moments in this movie that make it an instant holiday classic. There's the Christmas lights, the sledding, the Christmas tree, the turkey. It's definitely my favorite entry in the Vacation series, with the original coming in at a close second.
It's too late for you, kid. We're already in the house. We're gonna get you.
Okay, come and get me.
Who are you? Now you're dead!
Yes, I am putting both movies into the #1 spot because I can. It's my show. I've actually watched Home Alone so many times that the original VHS tape just wore out, which of course I was totally fine with because then I just bought the Blu-ray. Why did I put up with watching the VHS version for so long? I really don't know. It was like a nostalgia thing or something. I mean, this is one of those movies where I can recite every line of dialogue without even playing the movie. Home Alone just never gets old to me. I always find it enjoyable, and I think the sequel was pretty good as well. It's one of those sequels that, in my opinion, completely lives up to the original. Except for those other sequels. They don't count. They don't exist to me. I mean, just watching Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci get caught into all those traps is always hilarious to me. And by the way, am I the only one who thinks that that macaroni and cheese dinner, which Kevin never got to eat, looks insanely delicious? I mean, every time I watch that scene, I get a huge craving for mac and cheese. So that's my list for my favorite movies to watch on the holidays. So put your favorite list in the comment section below. Please like the video, and I'll see you guys soon. I'm gonna go make this. So I thought I'd add this last bit here since I couldn't include this entry on the list because it's not technically a movie, but Mr. Bean's Christmas special is absolutely hilarious, and it's something I've been watching every year on Christmas for as long as I can remember. So if you haven't seen any Mr. Bean episodes before, make sure you check out Mr. Bean's Christmas special. It's absolutely hilarious, and you can thank me later.